this will be set up and right where we want them for loading them on the trailer. But before we feed, there's a little project that I want to finish. I've had this for a little while, and I finally decided how I wanted to mount it. It's a little extra. Morning, welcome back to Ohrmundt Simmentals. All right, Saturday morning, and it's actually not snowing today. Sun's not out, of course, but it's actually not snowing. Only got like an inch yesterday, but just kept snowing and snowing and snowing. On the dock for this weekend, probably gonna do some working in the shop, cleaning up in there, getting that area ready because we do want to get the cattle trailer in there and actually work on that project. All right, so this is much better. We're at the water tank for the steers. And this water is doing a really good job. The only reason there's so much ice is still left from the first night. So that's plenty of water for them for the rest of the day, and they'll be fine. It also looks like we might be bedding today, looking at the calves and the steers. So everybody might get bedded down tonight. And then the other thing I want to do today, or do this weekend, is I want to set up a new mineral feeder. I need to restock the cows with their mineral, and I've had this feeder for a little while now. I just couldn't decide on how I wanted to set it up. And this isn't perfect because I don't have the right tire. So the tire is going to be a little excessive, but that's all right. So I'll show you that when we get to that project. And then the other thing on the list for this weekend is these guys are supposed to go tomorrow. At least that is the tentative plan, which will be nice. These guys have been around for a little longer than we thought, but that's okay. All right, so we got the pallet forks in the big bucket. We're gonna head down to the shop. Did it this way because one, we need the pallet forks. We got something in the shop we want to get out of there. And then I need the big bucket because I want to clean up some of the snow that's right in front of the door. And what we want to use pallet forks on is something we worked on last weekend. We had one of those big IBC totes, and we set it up for waste oil. So a company out in Stratford that refines used oil or takes used oil said they will come here and pick it up for a fee, but only if you have at least 200 gallons. And those are like, what, $275 or $250, something like that. So we had enough waste oil. We wanted to set that up, so we did. All right, so took a little bit of a lunch break, came back out, and we're actually going to start getting ready. The guy's going to come and get his heifers this afternoon. Not exactly sure precise time, but we brought the Mahindra back down. We had it down by the shop to get some of the stuff out of there. Burned a lot of like cardboard and stuff. When we got that leaf vac, that DR leaf vac, there's a lot of cardboard, and I mean a lot of cardboard, and big stuff too. If it's just little stuff, we would have burned it either in our burn barrel or in the furnace, but this was big stuff, so was able to burn up a lot of cardboard type stuff, a lot of paper, just clean up a lot of junk. The other thing too is I had mentioned we set up a IBC tote with waste oil. We want to do that for a while now because we have a lot of waste oil, even for our operation. Kind of cleaned that up and got rid of a lot of old buckets and old oil 2.5 gallon jugs, things like that. Just cleaning up some stuff that just hasn't been cleaned up in a while. But what I'm gonna do is come in here and lock these guys out of the back of the barn, and we'll end up kicking them in the barn pretty soon. Take down my stupid chain contraption here. That's not good. Well, now I gotta order a new part for my camera. I think part of it's good. I think I might have something else I can use. Yeah, I might not be able to use the magnetic base for a little bit, but we'll see. All right, easy peasy. Everybody's locked inside. They can't go all the way to the back. So this will be set up and right where we want them for loading them on the trailer. Plus Dad went and grabbed the corn silage for feeding, so we can just do that right away. But these guys don't need corn silage because they can eat at their new home. So we're just gonna go right into feeding and not gonna save the bucket of grain that would go to the sale calves. We're gonna use this as an opportunity to step up the grain for these guys. Sale calves have been here long enough. It's been a few weeks. These guys, instead of giving them 3 buckets in this manger, once those calves are gone, we'll open up the border and they can come in here and there'll be a bucket of grain here. So we're not gonna save on grain. It's just time to step these guys up to a little extra. So I'm gonna go fire up the water for the steers. I did find parts. It'll be just a little bit different than what we have right now, but back to getting rid of this red hose and back to really close to what we had before. Dad is doing 2 bales, doing an oats bale and one of last year's bale. We already got silage out, grain is out. We were in a stretch on last year's hay that was not very good. The stuff we're into right now, I'm very confident came out of the pit field, and that was decent grass hay because that's mostly orchard grass, a little bit of blue, little clover, and even a hint of alfalfa. So it was pretty decent stuff. And that was baled early too. That was some early June baling. Now granted it's from last year, but it's kept really well. And while we wait, I'll burn some stuff at home too. Got a lot of cardboard and paper just laying around. All right, it is Sunday afternoon. Yeah, it is Sunday afternoon. Don't worry, you didn't miss nothing this morning. We spent like a little over 2 hours in the shop just cleaning. And amongst that cleaning, Dad's always had a bunch of those like screw boxes that have like little organizer compartments and stuff. So he sat down and he put like all of our little hydraulic fittings in there in one of them. Another one's got all of our like chain link connector fitting, connections and all that stuff. So he kind of did that stuff. I cleaned up, and I mean, yeah, we literally spent 2 hours cleaning in the shop. It definitely needs it. But before we feed, there's a little project that I want to finish. I've had this for a little while, and I finally decided how I wanted to mount it. It's a little extra, but kind of is what it is. So I've had it for a little while. Like I said, I got one of these covered mineral feeders. So this isn't like the super nice ones, like a little bit heavier duty ones. This is kind of the cheaper one, but it was on sale because these things aren't exactly cheap. But I have wanted to try them for a while. Evan at EAB Farms. If you haven't checked out his channel, please do so. If you like our content, you'll like his too. Evan really likes these style of feeders. He actually had sent me one that was an ad, and this was a while ago, for Wassa. I sat on it for a couple days and I missed it, but it was a pretty decent deal. So I kicked myself for a long time that I didn't jump on that sooner. But these were on sale at Tractor Supply. I finally picked one up, and I want to get it mounted to this tire. Unfortunately, these things are such big diameter, like a regular 15-inch tire does not work. So this guy is going on an old 28-inch tire. This was off of a John Deere 1520. So right now, I have the bolts, I think, that I want to mount this thing. We're just going to use some 3/8 bolts, but I got to grab my drill and a drill bit, obviously. Drill some holes and see if we can get this thing mounted up. And then I do have an eye bolt. I just hope it's long enough. And then before Dad comes, he's gonna grab the piece I need for this guy. Drill bit acquired, Milwaukee drill ready, fully charged even, and then got the piece that I needed. So the other thing I did with this is, because this isn't one that's like the really super thick plastic, I wanted to give the feeder a little extra support. So this is all spray foam, just so that like a little bit more impact resistant maybe. And again, if I like this style of feeder and I want to upgrade, I'll put a little more money into it and get a little bit better on it. But for right now, this is what we got. We're gonna try it out. It's not so much the feeder, it's the style of feeder. And being out there, it does suck when your mineral starts getting full of snow and freezes and all that stuff, which I've complained about for years, but hopefully this will help, and it obviously should. All right, so here we go. We finally got it bolted down. Third set of bolts. First set too short, second set way too long. These just right. I do like the fact that it's got a very nice sturdy cover, and it's pretty darn stiff, so it'll work just fine. But yeah, this will be interesting. I'm not super worried about the tire, the fact that it's so big, because it's going to be out with the mature cows, and there's no problem going to be had with them getting in there. And the reason I want to put it on a tire is because I want to be able to move it. When we leave it out there, trust me, it gets frozen in place between manure and snow and all that stuff. So we want to be able to move it around. I do have an eye hook. If that's not sturdy enough, we'll get a different one. Thanks to Evan at EAB Farms for kind of talking about these and kind of pointing them in my direction. Definitely want to see how it turns out, especially since I like the Redmond fine salt. I really definitely want to utilize that in those feeders. One bale for the cows tonight. Dad's gonna divvy that up, and then while he's doing that, I'm gonna try and get this hose swapped out. It's not hard, it's just kind of a pain because, well, I'll show you. So what we had was just an elbow here into this barb. Well, you gotta obviously spin it on while it hits here. So, you know, not a huge deal, just a little bit of a pain because you gotta pull this guy back. All right, here we go. Much better. And there's a little bit of an incline here, which helps us. So when the water gets shut off, it'll make sure everything drains back. A little more ice in here than we would want, but that's because the steers pulled that heater. And that does become a problem once in a while if they play around with it too much. So we can tie it back in certain spots to help with that, which is, if they do it again the next day or two, I'll have to do that. Now, admittedly, this is supposed to be a 3-block feeder. That's what they advertise it as, but I just have to get used to loading it, and one compartment might have half trace and half loose all-purpose mineral. So I have to get used to filling this thing. Might find a different clip for the top. That one's kind of like the ring you put on your keychain. Might have to get like a regular clasp, just the right diameter, so I can just pop the whole top off. But that guy's full, that's half, and that's half on the other side. So we got NutriBeef and Redmond fine salt. For whatever reason, Fleet right now still has with garlic, so that's what that one is. Not that I don't need it. And then this one's actually fly control, my last bag of fly control, and it'll still be good. But Actually, I don't mind the fact that it spilled a little bit. It'll help remind them that, hey, this is something new. And typically we don't put our mineral feeder over here. We put it over by the water tank, but it doesn't really matter. And they don't have to drag it around the cows. But yeah, we'll see how this guy goes. I think that top will definitely loosen up in the sun. It is cold, it's single digits right now. But I think this will be really good for the cows, and it'll help prevent and help waste some of the mineral that freezes over the winter. And I do like the loose stuff, but I'll still always say, whether it's loose or trace or whatever style, every mineral form and style has its purpose. Like, I do like having blocks right now in for like the bulls. For them, it's a little nicer. If I had a tub in there with mineral, they'd knock the dang thing over. Would they knock this over? Probably not. But this one is the start. We'll experiment. We'll see how this one goes. If we like it, we'll get more. If we don't, we won't get more. But I'm sure I'll like it. I'm sure it'll be decent. So, all right, let's get everything closed up. Packers are starting in about 10 minutes. And I did forget to mention it. Our calves did go yesterday. It was a little bit later, but that was just fine. So that's going to be pretty neat, because if we want, we can just run up and see them, you know, in like 6 months or a year or something. That's going to be kind of cool, because they're just right up the road. So yeah, they want to kind of start their own little segment. The other thing they want to maybe toy around with in a couple of years is when they show calves, is doing raised and owned. Is a different class you can get into, where if you own the cow, you raise the calf from birth to show, you qualify for that one. So that's pretty neat. They want to try that. So we'll see how that turns out. I'm sure they'll be just fine. I know there's a couple of girls in that group that are going to turn into really, really good cows. It gives us a little bit more bunk space. It gives them a little bit more area to lay down. And these guys are probably due for some bedding in the next day or so, which is always the case. Bulls, same. And honestly, it ain't getting any warmer. I think Wednesday it's supposed to be like a high of 4, I think, maybe. But we saw the sun today. The sun came out. It's back. It's still there. Can't wait to see how fast it takes them to get used to that mineral feeder. I'm sure it's not going to be long. One, they're going to be nosy, and then you'll be like, oh wait, hey, the stuff we like is in here, and we can move this little flappy thing and we can get in there. So that'll be nice, and it'll keep the snow out of there. And then what ends up happening is, because it is salt, the snow melts, and then it freezes, and then it melts, and it freezes, and the crap just becomes hard as a rock, and it sucks. And then it just basically turns into a salt block. And the cows usually will go at it, but they do tone it down a little bit when it does that. So you do end up wasting a little bit. So that'll be neat to see how that turns out. Got the hydrant fixed over there, so that's back to normal operation, which is good. And we'll just have to keep an eye on if they keep playing around with that heater or not, if I got to do something different. And the other thing that kind of stinks about all these cold temperatures, because we are running like 10 to 15 degrees below normal, is it's not great for outdoor projects. Like yesterday and today, we spent a lot of time in the shop cleaning, because everything outside sucks. So we'll see what this week is like and what next weekend is like. All right, we are at the end of the day, end of the weekend, end of the video. I want to go and watch the Packers. So I hope you guys liked the video. Please, on your way out, hit that thumbs up button. And of course, if you got any questions, by all means, please leave them in the comments. I love answering those questions. And of course, don't forget to subscribe. Help support us here at Ohrmundt Simmentals. So please, hit that subscribe button. It's totally free. And as always, thanks for coming along.